All right, we're a few days away from Super Bowl 49, and we're still talking about balls. Yeah, we talking about balls, man. Fucking deflated balls. I mean, this is something that the elderly should have to worry about, not the NFL. I think Viagra might have found themselves a new sponsor. All right, let me get my thoughts on this Deflategate controversy out of the way. If you guys are as sick of it as I am, then just fast forward a couple minutes and I'll be getting to the game. All right, look. The Patriots, I mean, come on, let's face it. They're definitely guilty. This is Spygate all over again. Everyone's in denial. Everyone just, on the defense already. I'm sure you guys have heard already, when you deflate a football, it's a lot easier to throw because it's easier to grip. You're more accurate, and as a ball carrier, it's a lot easier to hold on to it. In 2006, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning lobbied in favor of changing an NFL rule where, basically they wanted the NFL to allow every team in the league to use their own footballs on offense, even when they're on the road. So, all right, so there's some stats that have been, posted out there, some fumble stats, because this is pretty telling, I think. Before the rule was instituted prior to the 2006 offseason, the Pats fumbled the ball once every 39 plays. That was about the league average. This was from 2000 to 2006. But ever since then, they're fumbling the ball only once every 76 plays. That's a huge disparity. And it's remarkable because New England plays in a lot of bad weather games. Obviously, it's a lot colder in Foxborough than it is for a lot of other teams. All right, so now let's move on to these press conferences that I saw last week. There's Bill Belichick, who played the, plausible deniability card and ultimately put the ball in Tom Brady's court, so to speak. Brady took a more frivolous route, and at times when he spoke, he looked as uncomfortable and jittery as a heroin addict looking for his fix. Brady emphasized that when he picks his balls out, he wants them perfect. And once he picks them, and I quote, "I don't want anyone touching the balls after that. I don't want anyone rubbing them. To me, those balls are perfect." All right, frat boy jokes aside, this was supposed to be the year. New England and its fans, wanted to finally vindicate themselves of the Spygate controversy. It was revealed in 2007 that the Patriots were caught illegally taping sideline defensive signals from the New York Jets coaches during the team's opening week game. The Spygate controversy led to accusations that such activity had been going on since 2000. The Patriots haven't won the big one since then. And, this, like I said before, this was supposed to be the year that vindicated all that. Well, if the Patriots win this coming Sunday, that victory's already tainted. But you know what? I'll take another spin on this, just to take another spin on this, because if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. We're sitting here crucifying the Patriots, but, what about all the players like Bill Romanowski, who have used steroids and HGH, and you've got the Jets who falsified injury reports and tampered with free agents, especially when they had Brett Favre on their roster. The Indianapolis Colts were accused of piping in crowd noise when they played in the RCA Dome. The New York Giants have faked injuries to slow down drives, most notably against the Philadelphia Eagles' up-tempo offense. You've had players like the Giants' Jim Burt in 1988 getting caught rubbing Vaseline on their arms in next during games, so it's, harder to grab onto them. In the wake of Deflategate, you've had Brad Johnson admit that he paid NFL officials $7,500 to scuff and break in 100 footballs for Super Bowl 37. You've had the Denver Broncos from 1996 to 1998 tamper with the payments of John Elway and Terrell Davis so they could get around the salary cap. In 1982, the Patriots had a snowplow operator go out and clean a spot on the field for John Smith during a blizzard so he could kick the game-winning field goal. And how about the Oakland Raiders from the 1970s? You had guys like Lester Hayes and Fred Blitnikoff rub stickum all over themselves so it'd be easier to catch the football. And what about their defense using casts as clubs? Back then, it was legal to slap an offensive lineman when a defender wanted to rush the quarterback. Obviously, it stings a lot more, when you get smacked with a cast. So there you go. Boom. The NFL is filled with cheaters. All right? So, it is what it is. All right, let's finally talk about this game, shall we? Let's start with the Patriots. The Patriots are like chameleons. Their offense changes from week to week. They went pass happy in their victory over the Ravens in the divisional round and rode their ground and pound attack against the Colts in the AFC title game. So how will they approach Super Bowl 49? I see more of a conservative, balanced approach. Obviously the Seattle Seahawks defense is the best in football right now. So if you take that conservative, balanced approach, you can, be in a position to convert a lot of third downs because you'll be in a lot of third and, manageable situations. Seattle allows 186 pass yards per game, the only team in the NFL that doesn't give up more than 200 yards per contest. New England, meanwhile, is 9th in the league in pass offense, averaging 258 yards per tilt. I'm sure most of you football junkies are like me and can't wait to see Brady and Rob Gronkowski go up against a Legion of Boom and the rest of that physical defense. Gronk is obviously going to be Seattle's biggest challenge, and the individual matchup between him and Cam Chancellor should be a lot of fun to watch. Gronk scored 12 touchdowns this season, and Seattle has surrendered 11 scores to opposing tight ends. So this is really the key matchup to watch for this Sunday. Chancellor is normally adept in coverage, but struggled against Antonio Gates when the San Diego Chargers defeated Seattle in Week 2. Gates boasted a trio of scores in San Diego's 30-21 victory. 2 of them came against Chancellor in one-on-one coverage, and the other came with KJ Wright on him, with Chancellor helping out over the top. Obviously, Gronk is also a guy that's hard to bring down, breaking 21 tackles on the season. But Chancellor and that other safety, Earl Thomas, combined to miss just 13 tackles this year. Seattle is a defense which isn't going to confuse you or beat you with disguise. It plays with a single high safety over 80% of the time. Well, Brady has tossed an NFL best 20 touchdowns with just 2 picks against a single high look this season. It'll be interesting to see how the Patriots approach, throwing to Sherman's side of the field, Richard Sherman, that is. We've seen some teams challenge him and some avoid him altogether, which is, that right side of the field. Throughout the NFL, 24% of passes are thrown outside the right numbers. Against Seattle, however, that number falls to 19.2%. But the Patriots, get this, little stat. The Patriots, they only throw the ball to that side of the field 16.4% of the time. So, as I kind of stated, before, Gronk will be the key to a potential Patriots victory. I don't really see how Brandon LaFell, Julian Edelman, or Danny Amendola, doing anything much against Sherman, Byron Maxwell, and Jeremy Lane. So, I said that, the Pats, they really don't throw to the right side of the field, but Brady does complete 70.5% of his throws on the left side of the field, so expect a plethora of balls being targeted toward Maxwell. Another key for Seattle will be getting to Brady. It's no secret that the Golden Boy doesn't like pressure. When he's under duress this season, Brady has a 113.6 passer rating with 35 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. But when he's being pressured and rushed, that rating goes down to 51.4, and he's tossed just 4 scores to go with 7 picks. Seattle, though, is 20th in the NFL in sacks, tackling the quarterback behind the line of scrimmage just 37 times. The guy to watch will be Michael Bennett and how effective he will be, if they decide to rush him from an inside position against Dan Connolly and Ryan Wendell. It might be difficult for New England to run the ball against Seattle's third-ranked run defense, although the Seahawks haven't been the same since Brandon Mebane went down in Week 10. Seattle allowed just 3.4 yards per carry against runs up the middle during its first 8 weeks this season, but that number has increased to 4.4 a tote since he was injured. The Patriots have averaged 4.2 yards per tote during the postseason. LeGarrette Blount has been a force since arriving in Foxborough again after being cut by Pittsburgh following an 11-game stint. He's averaging 4.7 yards per carry with New England and is a downhill force who might be able to gain some traction against the Seahawks. We shall see. Now, let's move to Seattle's offense, squaring off with New England's defense. Seattle, Led the NFL in rushing by a wide margin, averaging 172.6 yards on the ground. Russell Wilson is a big reason for that number. He carried the ball 94 and 96 times during the first 2 seasons, but toted the rock 118 times this year, averaging 7.2 yards per carry on those zone reads. He gained 489 and 539 yards on the ground his first 2 seasons, but that number has increased to 849 this year. Seattle runs its zone attack so it can keep the edge honest. I mean, this opens up space for Lynch to go downhill, although he's equally as good on the edges. The Patriots, though, own one of the NFL's strongest rush edge defenses, allowing less than 4 yards per carry on runs designed outside of the tackles. But trying to contain Wilson and Lynch is a whole different task. They'll have to be disciplined, especially Rob Ninkovich, who is tied for the NFL lead with 10 missed tackles on the edges. The Seattle Seahawks, they don't have the most prolific passing attack, and their receiving core of Doug Baldwin, Jermaine Kearse, and Ricardo Lockett aren't going to scare anybody. But they're efficient on their shots down the field, completing 44.4% of their deep balls this season. The Patriots, meanwhile, have allowed just 33 completions on 100 deep throws this year. When Seattle goes deep, it likes to do it from the slot position. The Seahawks are 17 of 25 with 3 touchdowns on their deep passes from the slot, but the Patriots have given up just 6 completions on 29 deep pass attempts from that position. So obviously stopping the Seattle rushing attack is the key for the Patriots on defense with their stingy secondary led by Darrelle Revis. They should be comfortable in man coverage so they can stack 8 in the box to stop Lynch and Wilson. All right, prediction time. I can't wait for this game. I don't see a blowout like last year. I think we're looking at a semi-low scoring game, at least semi-low scoring these days. But not necessarily because the offenses are going to struggle. I'm looking at like an 8 to 10 possession game. Normally there's about 12 possessions in a game, with each team slowly matriculating the ball down the field and churning up the clock. I've got Seattle 23-20 in a classic. We might even see the first overtime in Super Bowl history. I mean, these teams are very, very evenly matched. The spread of this game was, a pick 'em when it was first released. Right now, New England is favored by points. So, I can't wait for this one. It should be a good one. Seattle right now is trying to make its case to be the team of the decade. If you can win another Super Bowl right here, that's back to back, first time since the Patriots did it in 03 and 04. So it's been 11 years since that's been accomplished. So if they can win this one, it would certainly vault them to the top of the discussion for being the team of the decade. Now, obviously, there's still many years left, but 2 Super Bowls in 2 years, and they still got the core, returning. They're still kind of young, so they might be able to win another one next year. I mean, it's remarkable what's going on in Seattle right now. All right, lastly, before I end this video, Katy Perry is performing at halftime. Not a really big fan of her, but I am glad the game isn't in the Northeast this season and is in the desert. I mean, I really hope she's wearing a revealing top, man. I mean, she's got a fantastic set of puppies. I mean, I would motorboat the fucking shit out of those titties. Fucking yumskis. Yeah, so that's my final thought on this video. So hopefully Katy Perry wears something nice for me. All right, that's all for today. Yeah, unfortunately, I'd do a solo video today. We tried getting a show in this week, Mike and I, but, the schedules didn't really work out too well. I had a doctor's appointment today. We were trying to get one in today, but just me today, so I guess I'll have to do. All right, with that being said, I'm Adrian Fedkiw. Enjoy the game. I'm actually going to be covering it, so I'm going to be writing some columns. So if you Google Adrian Fedkiw on Google after Sunday, you'll see my thoughts on the game. So, all right, again, that's all for today. I'm out of here. Later. Peace.